Hi guys, it's Chris with City Girl Homestead. Day 4 of depression cooking. So today's dish is actually, if you've ever watched a lady named Clara, her videos, I actually seen it the first time on her video, and I've seen it several times from other people too. So we are making a poor man's meal today. So I'm going to bring you down for the prep. The first thing I did was peel up enough potatoes for me and Jack. That potato don't like to be cut. And we're gonna dice these potatoes. She does it with her hands, which I could do too, but we're gonna do it this way. Because the way she does it and the way I could do it is probably not that safe. We don't need any more cuts this week. I like watching her because she had a lot of really good ideas from, you know, when she was a kid growing up. And there are a few really good depression channels, actually. Boy, those potatoes are like sticking right to that stainless. I love these new knives, by the way. I have the paring knives coming, so then all I need is just that big one that I want, and I'll have them all that I want anyway. They have steak knives and stuff too, but I figure the utility knives that I got you could use for steak knives as well, so you really don't need them. Now I'm putting my potatoes in water in between, since I'm chopping up so many for both me and Jack. I don't want them to get brown. Brown potatoes doesn't do anything for me. So, and I appreciate that you guys are liking the longer videos. So make sure, if you can, you know, share them on your Facebook. You know, make sure you like and comment. Subscribe if you haven't. All those things help my channel. And we can watch it grow together. How's that? I got some people that have been with me since day one. It's really cool, you know. You kind of get to know them, and that's great. It's like a family. Alright, so I'm not going to make you watch me chop up a whole bunch of potatoes. But it did take almost 3 minutes, so I guess that's a good thing, right? Alright, I will be back when they're all chopped up. Alright, so the next thing we need to prep is onions. We're going to do the same thing with those. We're going to get them all diced up. I've been looking up the recipes that I want to make next week for our waffle week. And I actually traded it for a couple things. So I thought my menu was completely ready, and I found a couple different ones that I wanted to replace. So I was talking to Renee, and I found a couple good ones, and she's like, oh, that sounds good. So there's a couple I'm going to replace. So remember, next week is waffle week. And waffles don't always have to be made from waffle mix, you know. There's other ways to make waffles. And we'll learn that next week. It'll be good, though. It'll be very, very good. Look how well this knife works, you guys. Oh. And I like it that they're American made. I know I have a lot of you from other countries, but I'm sure you guys prefer your country stuff too. And honestly, there isn't a whole lot left made in America. It's very sad, but true. You know, I can remember being a kid, and I know I'm 56 years old, but I still remember being a kid. And even when Walmart first came, you know, like if you notice, they used to brag American made and whatever. Like, very seldom did you ever find anything that was made somewhere else. And now it's hard to find anything made here. if it's just because of the cheaper labor or what it is, but I always thought that, you know, we had pretty good quality stuff. And we certainly kept a lot more people busy and working. And good jobs too, you know. My dad retired from Fisher Body, which is a part of Oldsmobile. For the younger kids, they probably don't know what Oldsmobile is. But Oldsmobile was part of General Motors. And I remember he used to bring home these, they were the Oldsmobile label that sticks on the car. And you could spell it out to say smile. So my dad used to do that and bring them home for us. That was so funny. Alright, now the next thing we need is hot dogs. Jack's like, I thought we were done doing hot dogs. Coming from a hot dog person, that's too funny. So now we're going to put those hot dogs and cut them in just little things here. We don't want them too big because we didn't cut our potatoes real big either. So we can get all those diced up. I won't make you sit here and watch me do all those either. I'll be nice today. I try to be nice all the time. Sometimes it doesn't work. So let's do a tidbit before I finish doing these. I'm having a really bad hair day. I should put it in a ponytail. Do you know thousands of homeless families camped out at the Great Lawn of the Central Park in New York City, which was an empty reservoir during the Great Depression. So they actually would camp out, all of them, and they had, I know it sounds funny, but they had their own, like, mayor, they had their own school, everything that they did in this encampment. So, you know what? A lot of the schools weren't open during the Depression. They didn't have money. And I thought about it today. You know, they came up with all these 3-letter agencies during that time. And it put people to work, which was good. And so, you know, a lot of state and federal jobs were created. But I think about it now, we kind of got out of a lot of it because of the bailout from the government. But what happens when the government is so in debt like we are right now? What would they do to bail us out? Like, you know, $1,200 ain't doing it. So I just thought about that. Like, before they could create all these different jobs and stuff to get people to work, we don't have the money to do that right now. So just food for thought. I'll be back. Well, hi, Jack.
Hello.
How was it you managed to always come over after all the prep is done?
Lucky, I guess.
Turkey. All right. So, in our fry pans here, we're going to use vegetable oil. I don't usually cook with that, but that's what it says to use. I use it when I deep fry something. And if you find you need to add more after the fact, then you can. So all those potatoes that I chunked up. Yep, I made a mess on the floor today. You gonna say something about it? Didn't think so.
You made a mess on my floor.
Should have taken more of those then, shouldn't I? Jeez, Jack. Alright.
Well, when it's done, I can give you some.
Okay. So, on these, we want to get them browned up a little bit and cooked through. I did not boil these first. She didn't ask for salt and pepper on it, but I'm putting it in there. Now, before we add the onions to it, I probably just totally blacked everything, didn't I? Before we add the onions to it, we want to cook the potatoes down just a little bit. Get them a little bit starting to get brown before we add onions or anything else to it. So, while we're doing that, let's do another tidbit. Did you know that back during the Depression, people might have destroyed all their assets to prevent future loss? There was one sheep farmer that reportedly had 3,000 sheep that he realized he may not make any profit off it at market. With no money to procure food for them, he decided instead of watching them starve, he would kill them. He slit the throats of all 3,000 of his sheep and threw the carcasses in the canyon. I couldn't have done that. I would have, I could have, I can't kill anything. I don't know who, I'm kidding, but I wouldn't have let that all go bad. I would have given the meat away before I would have let it go to waste like that. And that's something that Renee and I were talking about, and I have tried to say a little bit about it. You know, in my pantry downstairs, I have several bags of 2-cup portions of rice. And the reason I have those is for bartering or trading. I'm praying and hoping the world doesn't come to a really crappy thing here, but you know, if it does, you should always have something that you can barter or trade. Because like her and I were talking back then, a lot of times you didn't spend money. So let's say the lady next door knew how to make noodles. She might, you know, trade that for some of your tomatoes or something like that. Very seldom did money change hands, even if you worked for someone, because the main concern was keeping a roof over your head and food in your family's bellies. So there was an awful lot of bartering and trading. And I know my grandpa did that, and I've done that too, actually. You know, when I was in sales before, I'd barter something for this or that, whatever. I've gotten haircuts and everything else from bartering. So, you know, think about that. Not always does it take money. And always think about, you know, even if it's a little bit of coffee in a bag, something that you can use for barter if things ever do go bad, that you have something of value to trade to get food. They say chocolate, alcohol, things like that too. I'm not a drinker. I do have some vodka downstairs, but it's only for, like, if something bad happened and you got to use it to clean cuts or whatever. I'm not a drinker, so yeah. So anyway, we're going to get these fried up, and then I'll be back. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. So they're a little bit more than half cooked through. So now we're going to add our onions. Mix those in with it. I know all the things that I've read on the about the Depression. Potatoes was like the main staple of everything. A lot of their meat was, in fact, the hot dog. But I can see it, because, you know, you look at even like the Bar S brand that we use, they're only $1.18 a package now. So, you know, I mean, it's like, I could see where it could be very affordable. Now we're going to add a couple tablespoons of tomato sauce. And mix that in there. Just a couple tablespoons. You don't want a whole jar full, Jack.
I put the rest in there.
Whatever. It's just going to be super red.
I thought you took half.
No, I said a couple tablespoons. That's alright, Jack. I think it's a little bit for flavor, but I think it's for to kind of hide that it's potatoes. You know, a lot of the companies back then, you know, they used to get potatoes and all different kinds of things in sacks, the burlap bags. And when they found out that a lot of the mothers were sewing dresses and pants and stuff out of those burlap bags, some of the companies that produced those that had stuff in them would actually put designs on them so that they could be pretty little dresses for the little girls that they had to make dresses out of burlap bags. That I didn't have written down. I actually heard about it. Okay. So, let's see how many more tidbits I have here. Well, the one was you might have gotten a government job. As a part of the New Deal, people who had reached a certain age could claim Social Security benefits so that they could retire younger person and get a younger person to take their job. New government jobs involved things like building roads and helping develop the country's infrastructure. I can't even speak today. One of the really bad things that came from Depression is as many as 50% of all the children that grew up during the Depression did not have enough food to eat, health care, or basic shelter. Many of them developed rickets, a preventable disease caused by malnutrition. Today, rickets is very, very rarely seen outside the world's poorest countries. So, I got one more after that, and we'll do that when we're back. Alright, so the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in our beloved hot dogs. That even Jack's getting tired of.
Yep.
Honestly, Jack, I never thought I'd hear you say that.
I never had so many hot dogs.
If it was during the Depression, it'd be a good thing then, huh? That you like hot dogs so well. Now, obviously, if you had a bigger family, then, you know, add more potatoes or more onions. You don't have to add more meat, just add more potatoes. Alright, so my last one is, this one I actually seen on Little House on the Prairie years ago. Your farm might have been sold at a penny auction. And, you know, you look at all the homes that are being repossessed now, and the auctions, they go like sky high. The people could never ever get back their house, nothing. But what would happen when a farmer was in distress, neighbors often stepped in by auctioning the farm off at a meager rate, usually buying it themselves for a penny or a few cents. That way the farmer could quickly obtain the farm back. At least that was the plan. So, you know, I think that during the Depression, people really had to come together, and they had to be family. You know what I mean? Whether you were friends, family, neighbors, whatever, you had to become family. You had to look out for each other. Not that there wasn't swindlers and bad people, because I'm sure that there were. What I'm so afraid of is that our country now is so divided, and it's just very, very sad. But I wonder if tomorrow the things collapsed, would everybody come together? I want you to think about that. Think about your neighbors. Think about your friends and your family. Would you be there for someone if everything collapsed? Or would you be that person that locks their door and says, you know what, go away, don't come here? I think the American way is, and I'm sure it is Canada and all these other places that people watch me, I think we were meant to help each other and to be good to one another. And I think somewhere along the line, and it's not just in the U.S., it's all over the world, that we tend to forget that. We think that we can make it all on our own. I trust in God, and then everybody else. The government's last. But I think we need to get out, and we need to do those things with just saying hi. And get to know people, and be good to each other. Because, you know, like people say, a smile's free. Just food for thought. Because what happens if something did happen and you didn't have anybody you could barter with or whatever, and you had just a whole basement, a basement full of green beans? What would you do then? You know what I mean? You never know. And I pray that nothing like that ever happens again, because that was not a good situation. So, on a lighter note, oh, I dropped my potatoes. Let's do that again. You gonna do a taste test with me, Jack? One, two, three.
That's good.
That is really good. So I hope our depression series didn't depress you. It wasn't meant to do that. It was meant to be fun and to learn a few things and to learn a couple of really cheap meals. And I hope for the person that requested I made you proud this week and that you enjoyed what I put out. So, we will be doing Waffle Week next week, and then we're going to do a Depression Cheap Cooking week after that. And then tomorrow, the girl that requested kids' lunches, I'm going to make 2 different lunches for Jack and Missy. And then I'm going to do 2 kid-friendly meals for Jack and Missy for the weekend. So, oh, you're not cooking with me tomorrow. I have to think of a third one. He'll starve. All right, so we'll be back to have Tom taste test. But in the meantime,
Bye.
and thanks so much for you guys being here. You are the best. Hi, Tom.
Hello, 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 hello.
There's your dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Last day of depression meals. This is called Poor Man's Dinner. Poor Man's Meal. And he found a ripe tomato out in the garden. So he brought that in too. And that's something that they would have done during the Depression as well.
Nothing like a fresh tomato with salt on it.
I know, right? So how was the Depression week for you?
Delicious.
Do you like everything we made?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow when I make Jack's meals for the weekend. You guys have a blessed night. Be a blessing, and bye, Tom.
Bye, Tom.